What's up, YouTube? This is a late show, late show. Welcome to Off the Ropes. I am George. My co-host is not here, Julian. He is actually he was actually hunting and texted me a few hours ago that his baby is on the way. So we were actually supposed to try to get this show going, but he had a hunt. We both got stuff going on in our lives, so there's no biggie. And I just figured, hey, you know what? We haven't done an MMA one in a while. I definitely might as well just try to just bang this one out at least. It's UFC 280. You got three good cards. And don't get me wrong, the whole card is actually really good. You have Belal Muhammad, Sean Brady. You have Caitlin Shakogian, Dariush versus Gamrot. So, I won't be speaking on those fights, but if you guys are interested in the 280, that's definitely the way to go. 280 is actually a really good card. I'm looking forward to this. I will be up in the next 12 hours. Actually, I'll be up in the next 4 or 5 hours to get up for work. I'll be watching that at work on my in between time. So, no further ado. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So, the first of the three fights that I am really looking forward to is the PETRY and Sean O'Malley. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to all three of these fights. But before that one, real quick, so like the Dariush and Gamrot, it's another one. That one could easily be named on this card as one of the top four fights that's happening. But as you know, it's not headlined with Dariush and Gamrot. And Dariush is a little bit more in the end of his career, but like has some notable wins. Very tough. He's definitely a dark horse in that division. He could shake some shit up, especially in that Oliveira. Oliveira being a really good at jiu-jitsu. Dariush having a really strong grappling game. He's also a good striker too. So, there's many options there. But here we are. Like I said, the PETRY Sean O'Malley. This one I am really looking forward to because we know Sean O'Malley. There's lots of questions that need to be answered. Not saying dude is not the goods. Not saying that dude is he's a star. He's definitely got some star power. The colorful hair, the tattoos. I'm not gonna call them antics because they're really not antics. It's just entertainment that he likes to do in between fights. The weigh-in. Saying that he would love to hang out with Conor McGregor on his yacht and blah blah blah. But he's entertaining. I do like the kid. I think he's very entertaining. He's good for the UFC. But with this here again, there's these questions that need to be answered. I want to say he is in the top 10. He might even be ranked number 13. But either way, he's going against PETRY. People call him PETRY. I just call him Jan. We all know Jan, absolute beast, lost his last fight to Sterling. I wouldn't say 50-50. I would say 55-45. People were leaning with Sterling. I was of that 45 that I thought Jan won. I thought he beat Sterling. Very close fight, very competitive. But coming off that loss, going into this one, and it wasn't like Jan took any damage, and they're throwing him in there against Sean O'Malley to be a gatekeeper. He's not a gatekeeper. Dude is absolutely freaking dangerous. Like if you look at his significant strikes, you have your strikes landed per minute. It's like 5.5 against Sean O'Malley's 7 3/4, which isn't very bad either. But if we're looking at the competition that these guys have been fighting, obviously it's showing here that you have PETRY. Just here's the 5 guys that PETRY fought. First, Uriah Faber, Aldo, Sterling, which was a DQ, which he was absolutely wiping the floor with Sterling. Sterling was a little bit competitive, but PETRY likes to start it a little bit slow. After that, completely was dominating him. Threw a knee while he was, in the transition of standing up. Got DQ'd. Sucks. So they had So with that one, they had to rematch that one, which was the recent fight. Beat Sandhagen. A lot of people were picking Sandhagen because Sandhagen's a tough son of a bitch too, and he's tough. He fights tough. He fought. I mean, he's great. He's a great fighter. Peter Yan, same thing. Great fighter. Peter Yan destroys him. Then the rematch against Sterling, again, very close fight. Like I said, 55-45, at least in my eyes, my opinion, what those outcomes were. And I was on the 45% that I thought Peter Yan won. Now, on the other hand, you have Sean O'Malley, still a little untested. Last fight was a no contest. So we didn't really get to see, Munoz was going to actually be a very good test for him. But, we go back to his last five fights ago, fights Vera, loses to Vera. Now, you would say out of the five guys that he just recently fought was probably his toughest competition. So you have that there. Nothing wrong with that at all. But when we're going ahead and assessing this fight as a breakdown, like I said, what it's going to come down to is the old saying is the experience, the guy that's been in these tougher fights. And that's exactly what you're getting. You're getting Yan, who's been in these situations, understands the pressure, dude's a killer. I think Sean O'Malley will have some moments. He possesses reach, height, a nightmare for, which could be a nightmare for Yan if he understands how to understand his distance, keep him away. But we know Peter Yan likes to fight on the inside. He's not afraid to mix it up. Great, blocking, bobbing and weaving. Again, his thing starts a little bit slow, which isn't a bad thing at all whatsoever, because Peter Yan, great stamina all the way to 5 rounds. But this one's a 3-round fight. So are we going to see him step on the gas sooner, knowing that he's got 3 rounds to hurry up and get him out of there, or to make a splash? I would say yes. Definitely don't want to go into the 3rd round with the fight even 1-1. So that's why I think Yan will come out a little more aggressive in the 1st round, still kind of be patient, what he's really good at doing. But for me, this one, the winner, I'm going with Yan. Again, it comes down to experience. He's been there, shows he's a great grappler. And again, when it comes to O'Malley, it's these questions that need to be answered, and we're not quite sure. I mean, he's the goods, the hair, striking, the entertainment. He does knock some guys out, but none of those guys are Yan, PETRY Yan. So that's going to be very interesting to see what kind of, if Sean O'Malley is really for this level. If he loses, I mean, is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. Already he's up against it because he's not where at least I think he is, and at least in the top 5. He hasn't really fought anybody in the top 8, let alone that. So to throw him in there with Peter Yan be a great learning experience. Now he wins, we know exactly where he's going up from here. Shoot for the stars, man, and sky's the limit for this guy. So as far as, like I said, I got the winner. I'm picking PETRY Yan. I think the outcome will be, I think he will get him out of there in 2 rounds. And like I said, it's because it's the 3-round fight, knowing that he doesn't want this to go to the scorecards, especially last outcomes fight with Sterling. He left it into the judges' hands, and not saying that he let it go to decision or, chose to fight that way. Like, Sterling came out tough. So I would say I'm going to go Peter Yan 2nd round, and I'm just going to say he's going to wear him down pretty early with these leg kicks. Peter Yan is really well known for those leg kicks. So I'm going to say he's going to get a stoppage. Knockout, probably not a knockout, but definitely going to wear him down. And yeah, Peter Yan. Now, co-main event, Aljamain Sterling, TJ Dillashaw. TJ TJ Dillashaw's last fight was last year, July, against Corey Sandhagen. That was a split decision, very close fight. Before that, Cejudo, I want to say that he actually fought probably, it was probably like his lightest. And I remember around this time, even like against Cody Garbrandt, when he fought him, at both these guys were like squeezing down, probably the smallest they've ever been, and that's what I remember against Cejudo, that he was like super small, skinny, didn't look great. Last fight again, July 24th against Corey Sandhagen, wins a split decision. I remember this was a really good fight. It was back and forth. And, yeah, give it to Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen is a great fighter. And again, there's a reason why these three fights are being talked about or are promoted in the UFC 280. Because I mean, just look at it. It's O'Malley, Jan, Sterling, Dillashaw, and it's pretty much the long-awaited return of Dillashaw to see exactly where he's at. And the whole saying goes, ring rust. In this case, it's octagon rust or cage rust, whatever you want to call it. It's been over a year since he's been in the octagon. So, I mean, listening to some podcasts, like you have Fighter and the Kid, Brendan Schaub, saying that he's that TJ Dillashaw is one of the hardest working men or women. He says he has that Kobe mentality, that Black Mamba mentality when it comes to the preparation. First one in the gym, last one to come out. 100 free throws. He's probably doing 100. Shooting 100 times wrestling. But he definitely is a hard worker, from what you hear. This one's going to be a very, very, very interesting fight. Sterling coming off a win against Jan. Like I said, I had Jan winning that one, but I mean, in that second fight, Sterling showed so many things. He had very great moments. He showed that he has a very, very, very good ground game, which people already suspected that he did. Had some moments in the stand-up department against Jan. So I think in this fight, he's going to have his moments too. He's definitely got his hands full with Dillashaw. Dillashaw is kind of like Dominic Cruz. He moves around. He makes it a hard target. He lands good, even when he's not stationary, to land punches or even kicks. Like, he hits that hard that in transition, that when he's moving, he can land and hurt you. Now, I don't think we will see that. I don't think we will see Dillashaw hurting Sterling. It's a very close fight. I mean, again, when I go back to these, I always think about how who's been more active in the fights, how those last fights looked. Was there damage? Did they go all 5 rounds? Were they close fights? I mean, there's so many things, right, you got to take into consideration. And I just feel like Sterling has, I feel like he has been a little more active, of course, yes. He's, of course, in the last 3 fights, you look again, Corey Sandhagen, and the last 2 fights against Jan. One was a DQ win, and then the next one was a split decision win. So it's going to be a really interesting fight. I hate this one. I hate to choose the winner in this one, just like in the main event, because I feel like they're pretty evenly matched. It's just the styles is what's going to make it interesting. As far as, as well, like Dillashaw, like I said, he moves around. He's good at footwork. Like, he's great stamina, doesn't get tired. And you could say the same thing for Sterling. Great motor. Great motor. He's got probably 2 gas tanks in that body that he can go and last a long time and be able to go the distance with TJ Dillashaw. Again, it's one of those things, just like the main event. It's hard to try to pick, but obviously you got to pick. On this one, I'm gonna go with Sterling. I see this one going to decision. It just kind of shows what these guys have been doing their last couple fights, fighting the two decisions. But I'm going with Sterling. Split decision, very close fight, competitive. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Dillashaw winning. But here I have to pick a winner. I'm picking Aljamain Sterling, split decision, very competitive fight. And then now going to the main event. This one's wild. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. This one, when this fight was announced, and then even some of the guys that work, some of us watch UFC, boxing, we go back and forth. But this one, for whatever reason it is, me and one of the other guys, actually me and a few other guys, some guys that I actually want bets against. You are Jacoby. I think we're even in the last 2 years. Win, lose some, win some, win, back and forth. But most of the time I've been winning those bets. And him and Kyle were just kind of like, man, it's kind of hard to really say. Even up to like last week, we both kind of not been sure, but I'm sure running into one of them tomorrow. It's a tough fight. I mean, I think I'll just go right off the bat, and if I have to say, who I'm picking Charles Oliveira, and like they say, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. It just, I mean, if I could share the screen here, which I think I just might. Let's see here if I can get to share the screen. Oh, yeah, share screen. Yeah, I want to share the screen here. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, so here we are, sharing the screen right now. Oh, never mind. Can't share the screen. God dang it. Anyways, so you just look at the last. Here you go. Beginning with the last fight, Justin Gaethje. Fight before that, Poirier, then Chandler, then Tony Ferguson, then Kevin Lee. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 fights. 4 of those fights, stoppages, and even before that, Jared Gordon, you even go back one more, KO, submission. The only decision was the Tony Ferguson, which he almost had his arm snapped right off his elbow, which is crazy. Then Michael Chandler, I want to say was the second fight in the UFC. And not a lot of people weren't too happy about that. Or even his third fight. Either way, people weren't too happy about that. But, dude's definitely a vet. He's, he's always had his eye on the UFC. UFC had their eye on him as well. I didn't see no problem with it. Gets a chance to fight, loses, pretty much almost has Oliveira out in the first round. And that was kind of the story with the last 3 fights. Yeah, from Chandler to Poirier to Justin Gaethje. Each one of them, these guys had Oliveira in trouble. Oliveira showed his toughness, gets through, knocks out Chandler and chokes out Poirier, then chokes out Gaethje. So, for me, that's why I said I feel like you go back to the men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Kind of the proof here is, what they call nowadays, they call receipts. You got that. You have his receipts. You look at his fights, and I think that's what sticks out the most to me. And not saying that Islam isn't good, that he hasn't fought the same competition that Oliveira has, which he really hasn't. If we go back to the last couple fights, we could say his last 2 fights, Dan Hooker completely dominated Dan Hooker. Same thing with Bobby Green. I think Bobby Green was a late replacement. Completely dominated him. And his second pro fight, yes, he gets knocked out in the first round. But from then on, from that fight up until the Bobby Green fight, it's been decision, not like maybe like one knockout. Yeah, there's been one knockout. Yeah, one knockout against Gleason Tebow. That was a first round knockout, pretty much to the very last minute of that. And the rest have been all submissions. Except the Bobby Green, except the Bobby Green fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see be very interesting to see how this plays out. I know a lot of people are picking him because it was coaches, Khabib, and for me, sometimes you can't really say, oh, it's the last guys he fought. I always say there's a thing called an eye test. Oh, how do they look? How do they look in this eye test? They look completely dominating. Did they beat these guys who they're supposed to beat pretty easily? And you can say that, yeah, it's like he's been stepping up in competition pretty much the last few fights. Each guy was better than the last guy, or ranked a little more higher than the other guy, and he's dominating these guys. So he's right where he needs to be. He definitely has a name. Again, it's because what he does in the octagon, how dominating he was, just like Khabib, very dominant in there, like completely manhandling these guys. And that's what he does in these fights. And so it could go for me. Islam could easily win this fight. A lot of people are just saying he's gonna easily win this fight. I really disagree with this one. But we can say Islam has been passing the eye test when he hasn't been coming to his last couple fights. But Oliveira is a different person, man. He's a different animal. I think that Oliveira will get this one to decision. We'll definitely see both guys tested. We'll definitely see Islam tested again. Will he get frustrated that he can't out grapple Oliveira? Because Oliveira is like the perfect. He has like the perfect attributes for grappling: long arms, long legs. He's flexible. He's slippery. He's great in transitions. He's when you think you're able to to grab him a certain way, he's already thinking of your move. He's already got 2 moves ahead of you. So it's definitely gonna be. I'm not gonna say boring, but I think there's gonna be pretty small moments of striking. I think both guys will, of course, obviously land, but I think Oliveira will have more to offer in that department because he has been proven. He does crack hard. Gaethje said that's the hardest he's ever been hit. I believe it. I definitely believe it. And we know how tough Gaethje is. For him to say that says a lot. So it is going to be a good fight. I'm excited for this one. I think this one will come down to a decision. As usual, when you have 2 highly competitive guys like this, they definitely respect each other's craft. They respect each other's skill level, and both guys are highly skilled. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But I'm here to give my prediction, my breakdowns of these fights, and my prediction. Now that I've given my breakdown, like I said, I'm picking Charles Oliveira in a very close decision. Split again, highly competitive from both guys. So it's going to come down to that last and 5th round. I'm looking forward to these. I definitely got to get to bed right now. It's just pretty crazy for me to bust out a show real quick in the middle of the night when I know I got to get up at 5 in the morning. But, guys, I know Julian is at the hospital right now. My bro, good luck. I'm sure the baby's fine. The baby's fine. Everything's going to be good. You're a great father, a great friend, great homie. Guys, this is Off the Ropes signing off. And good luck to the guys tomorrow. And we'll be looking forward to seeing these outcomes. Peace.